My girlfriend told me I was too broke to love, so I got rich and rejected her when she came back crying. I'm a 26-year-old guy. I've spent most of my life being told I wasn't enough, not smart enough, not practical enough, not realistic enough, especially when I turned down a corporate job after college to chase a half-baked startup idea no one believed in. At the time, I was working nights as a cashier and freelancing on Upwork during the day, scraping by. Living in a dingy apartment I shared with two other guys whose idea of dinner was instant noodles and tap water. But none of that mattered when I was with Amanda. She was beautiful, way out of my league, if I'm honest. Sharp jawline, piercing hazel eyes, and this effortless confidence that made people lean in when she spoke. I met her through a mutual friend, and somehow she liked that I wasn't like those finance bros, as she called them. She said she admired my drive, my vision, the way I lit up when I talked about my app idea, even though it was barely functional at that point. We'd lie on my mattress on the floor and dream out loud, her imagining a future where she worked in fashion PR and I ran my own tech company. She'd sketch outfits while I wireframed interfaces on my old overheating laptop, but every now and then she'd slip in a jab. Babe, you know I love you, but this app better make money soon. I'm too pretty to be broke forever. Or, can we have one date that doesn't involve coupons or tap water? She always said it with a laugh, and I'd laugh too, brushing it off as sarcasm. Because back then, I believed we were in this together, that she saw me not just for who I was, but for who I was becoming. I didn't know those jokes were just cracks in the foundation. Waiting to split, at first, I told myself Amanda was just stressed. We were both grinding, me with the startup, her with a demanding sales job she hated. But over time, her tone shifted. The warmth that once pulled me in started to fade, replaced by sighs, rolled eyes, and subtle digs that stung in ways I didn't want to admit. It started small. She'd complain about my clothes, how I always wore the same 2 shirts. Then, about my Quran old Civic that coughed more than it ran. One night, she came home from a girls' dinner and tossed her bag on my desk. You know, Rachel's boyfriend just surprised her with a trip to Bali. Can you imagine that? Bali, she smiled, but there was this edge in her voice, sharp enough to cut through the air. I tried to explain. Amanda, I can't even afford a proper desk chair right now. Every dollar's going into the project. She scoffed, not even looking up from her phone. Right? The project. The one that's definitely going to make us rich someday. That night, I sat awake long after she fell asleep, staring at the cracked paint on the ceiling. I told myself it was just frustration, that once I landed a few clients or an investor, things would change. But deep down, I felt something twisting inside me. Doubts. The next few weeks were brutal. She started staying late at work, saying she was networking. She'd come home smelling like expensive wine and perfume I didn't recognize. When I asked, she'd laugh and say, "Relax, it's just business." One night, I asked her if she still believed in me. She didn't even hesitate. "I believe in stability," she said. "You can't live off dreams forever." Her words hit harder than I expected. That was the first time I realized maybe I wasn't losing her. Maybe I never really had her. 2 days before my birthday, Amanda sat me down like a manager prepping for a performance review. She wasn't angry. That would have been easier to handle. No, she was calm, calculating. Like she'd already rehearsed this in her head 100 times. "We need to talk." She started, setting her wine glass down without looking at me. "I've been thinking a lot about where we're headed, and I can't keep pretending like this. Lifestyle is working for me." My stomach sank. I already knew what was coming. She went on, pacing slowly like she was trying to stay composed. "I've supported your little tech thing for 2 years now." 2 years, and what do we have to show for it? A half-finished app and takeout boxes stacked in the kitchen. I blinked. It's not a little tech thing, Amanda. This is my company. You used to believe in it. You used to believe in me. Her eyes flashed for a second, just a second, with something like guilt. Then it vanished. I believed in the idea of us. But I want something real. I want someone who can take me on a real vacation, not split bills at a diner. I asked the question I didn't want the answer to. Are you saying you'd rather be with someone who has more money? She didn't even flinch. I'm saying I need a man who can provide. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of pretending ambition is enough. The silence that followed was suffocating. I nodded, stood up, and walked to the window, heart pounding in my chest. I heard her grab her bag. Heard the door open, her final words still echo in my head. You'll never be anything but a broke dreamer. Then the door closed behind her. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there, staring at the reflection of a man she'd already decided was worthless. The first few days after Amanda left were a blur, like my brain had shut off just to protect me. Her toothbrush was still in the cup by the sink. Her favorite mug, the one with the chip on the rim, sat untouched on the counter. I didn't move anything. I couldn't. It felt like disturbing a crime scene. I kept telling myself I'd be fine, that I just needed to focus. But the truth is, I fell apart. Friends stopped checking in. They didn't know what to say. Some of them were mutuals who quietly sided with Amanda. One guy even said, "Honestly, I get where she's coming from." A woman wants stability. Stability. That word felt like poison. What they didn't see were the nights I stared at my screen until my eyes burned, rewriting code over and over because I couldn't afford to fail. They didn't see me choosing between rent and groceries. They didn't hear me whisper, "Just one break, that's all I need." My bank account dropped below double digits. I sold my keyboard, then my headphones. I started eating plain rice and frozen peas 5 nights a week. I'd go days without leaving the apartment, coding in the same hoodie until it reeked of stress and desperation. And yet, I refused to get a real job. Not because I was stubborn, because I knew this idea could work if someone just gave me a shot. But even that belief started to fade. I stared at myself in the mirror, one night's bloodshot, hair unwashed, lips chapped from dehydration, and I didn't recognize the guy looking back. For the first time in my life, I started to wonder, what if Amanda was right? What if I really was just a broke loser with nothing to offer but empty ambition? I don't remember falling asleep that night, just waking up on the floor, curled up next to my laptop like a lifeline. My mouth was dry, my head pounding, but something in me flickered back to life. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the quiet voice in my head that whispered, "You've already lost everything. So what's left to be afraid of?" I opened my project file, took a deep breath, and rewrote the entire backend from scratch. It took 3 straight days to all-nighters and more instant coffee than I'm proud to admit. But when I ran the build this time, something clicked. The app felt smooth-real that week. I uploaded a demo video on Reddit and Product Hunt. No marketing budget. Just a screen recording, a brutally honest post, and a title that read, "Built this alone in my bedroom after getting dumped." Thoughts. The next morning, my phone was vibrating nonstop. Hundreds of upvotes. Dozens of comments. A few trolls, sure, but most of them were stunned that something so clean came from a solo dev. One guy, a well-known open-source contributor, replied, "This is slick. DM me if you're looking for feedback." I blinked at the screen in disbelief. Then I actually laughed for the first time in weeks. It wasn't viral. It didn't change everything overnight. But it was the first time I felt like the world noticed I existed. A few days later, got an email from a small angel investor. Subject line, "Impressive solo build, want to talk." I didn't even finish reading it before my hands started shaking. No confetti. No parade. Just a quiet moment in a quiet apartment, lit by the blue glow of my monitor. That night, I ate ramen again. But this time, it didn't taste like defeat. It tasted like a beginning. The investor's name was Greg, mid-40s, ex-engineer turned early-stage backer. We met over Zoom. He wore a faded MIT hoodie and had this calm, no bullshit way of talking that I instantly respected. After a short demo and some grilling about scalability and market potential, he leaned back and said, "You've got the skeleton of something real here. Rough, but real." He wired me $25,000 that same week. Just enough to get my head above water and breathe. I used it to fix bugs, hire a part-time designer from Twitter, and upgrade my 8-year-old laptop that sounded like a dying jet engine. Greg also introduced me to two founders who'd scaled similar products. For the first time, I had people who got it who didn't roll their eyes when I said startup or bootstrapped. Then came the twist. About a month later, I was scrolling through Instagram, killing time before a Zoom pitch when I saw a DM request. From Amanda, I stared at it for a long minute. The message was short. "Hey, just saw your app on TechCrunch. Proud of you, smiley face." That smiley face hit harder than anything else. Like she was just popping back in, casually checking on the man she once told would never be anything. I didn't respond. I didn't even open the message. But my heart beat faster. Not from longing. From something else, something colder. The app hit 10,000 users the following week. We got featured on a niche tech YouTube channel. I hired a small team. The investor doubled down, and Amanda kept watching. She followed my new company's page, liked posts, left a emoji under a launch announcement. She didn't know it, but I saw every notification, and every time I did, smiled, not because I missed her, but because I finally understood. She didn't want me. She wanted proximity to success. I didn't block Amanda. I didn't delete her message. I wanted her to see everything. Every update. Every win. Every photo of me on panels and podcasts wearing clothes she once said looked too cheap for tech guys. I let her watch from the sidelines like she never did when we were together. She started showing up more. Subtle at first, liking my tweets, reacting to Instagram stories, even replying with a clapping emoji when I announced our beta user milestone. Then the texts started. "Remember that tiny desk in your old apartment? Crazy how far you've come. Was just thinking about that night we stayed up building wireframes and eating cereal. Hope you're good." I ignored them. Every single one. But I won't lie, some of them hit a nerve. One day, a mutual friend, Tori, called me out of nowhere. "So, I ran into Amanda last weekend. She was talking about you nonstop. Told me she broke up with that finance guy. Said he cheated on her twice." I didn't say anything at first. Just stared out the window, watching the city roll by. "She kept saying how different you look now," Tori added. "Like successful. Like someone she could actually build a life with." The irony nearly made me laugh. I remembered the night Amanda left, standing at the door, telling me I'd never be more than a broke dreamer. Now she was romanticizing my ramen-fueled breakdowns and calling them grit. But what bothered me more was how familiar her words sounded. They weren't about love. They were about potential, about wanting someone already on top, the kind of person I used to want to prove myself to. But now, all I wanted was to make sure she never had a seat at my table again. And she was starting to realize that the invitation came from a founder friend who ran a regional STARTUP conference panelists, VCs, product demos, and a mixer that ran late into the night. He wanted me to speak about building solo through adversity. I said yes without thinking. Back then, I didn't know Amanda worked in PR for one of the event's sponsor brands. But life has a way of staging perfect scenes. The conference was held in this sleek, glass-walled venue downtown. Neon signs glowing through floor-to-ceiling windows, name tags flashing under soft yellow lights. I walked in wearing a tailored navy suit I couldn't have dreamed of affording 2 years ago. The moment I stepped into the mixer, I felt eyes turning. That strange shift when people look at you like you belong. And then I saw her, Amanda Hare, perfectly styled. Wine glass in hand, name tag clipped just right on her fitted blazer. Her eyes locked onto me from across the room, widened slightly, and then she smiled. That same magnetic, practiced smile I used to fall for. She walked over like nothing had ever happened. "Wow, look at you," she said, letting her eyes travel up and down. "CEO vibes." I laughed lightly. "Didn't think I'd see you here." "I work with one of the sponsors," she replied. "Didn't know you'd be speaking tonight. But I guess it makes sense." She sipped her drink. "I've been following your journey. It's really inspiring. You've come a long way." I nodded, but kept my face calm. "Yeah, it's been a journey." She tilted her head, voice dropping slightly. "You look different, happier." I wanted to say, "That's what healing looks like." But I didn't. I just smiled. She laughed nervously. "We should catch up sometime. I miss talking to you." I didn't answer. Just took a sip of my drink and glanced around the room. Let her feel that silence. Because, for once, it was mine to give. It was a week after the conference when she showed up. I was working late. The office, mostly empty. City lights glowing through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind me. The building had a quiet hum at night: keyboards, elevator dings, distant traffic. I was deep in code when my phone buzzed. "Can we talk? Please." "I'm downstairs." I stared at the message, heart still, fingers hovering over the keys. I should have ignored it. But curiosity, or maybe closure got the better of me. I took the elevator down. She was standing outside, wrapped in a trench coat, mascara smudged like she'd either cried or run through the rain. Her arms were crossed, but the moment she saw me, she softened. "I'm not here to make things weird," she said. I needed to say some things." I nodded, but didn't speak. Just waited. She looked up at me, eyes already glassy. I was wrong. About everything. Her voice cracked. "I was scared. Scared that if I bet on you and you failed, I'd fall with you. So I chose what felt safe. But it was fake. He was fake. And I've thought about you every day since I left." She stepped closer. "I didn't believe in your dream, and I hate myself for that. But I see you now, and, God, you became everything you said you would." There it was. The full circle apology. The tears. The regret. The scene I used to fantasize about when I was broke and broken and alone. She reached out to touch my arm. "I miss you." She whispered, "Can we start over?" I gently stepped back. Not out of anger. Just clarity. You didn't love me, Amanda. You loved the version of me that didn't exist yet. The one who could afford you. Her lip trembled. "That's not fair." I nodded. Neither was telling me I'd never be more than a broke dreamer. Then I turned, walked back through the glass doors, and let her stand there surrounded by everything I built without her. A month later, I was on the cover of a startup magazine. The headline read, "From broke to backed, the solo founder who refused to quit." They did a photo shoot at my office white backdrop, soft lights. Stylist adjusting the collar of a blazer I'd bought just for the occasion. Everyone congratulated me. Investors, employees, even old college friends who used to ghost my texts. It was surreal. My face, once hollow with exhaustion and doubt, now beamed from the shelves of airport bookstores, but in private, couldn't stop thinking about that night Amanda stood in the street with tears in her eyes. Not because I missed her, but because I realized how far I'd climbed from where I started. Back then, I measured my worth through her eyes. When she left, it shattered me because I thought her love was validation. Now I saw it clearly. She was just the first person to say out loud what I was already afraid of. That I wasn't enough. That voice haunted me for so long. Every bug, every crash, every rejection, I heard it again. You'll never be anything but a broke dreamer. But it wasn't true. Late one night, after the magazine feature dropped, I sat in my office alone. Everyone had gone home. I pulled out my old notebook, the one with sketches, scribbles, and coffee stains from nights Amanda used to call wasted. I flipped through every torn, smudged page. Then I found it. A note I'd written in the corner months ago, back when I was running on 3 hours of sleep and desperation. Make it work. No one's coming to save you. I stared at those words for a long time. And for the first time in years, I felt still. Not proud, not angry, just free. And in that silence, I realized her absence didn't hurt anymore. It felt like peace. I never posted about Amanda. Never named her. Never subtweeted or dropped cryptic captions. My revenge was quiet, intentional. Delivered through milestones. Not malice. I launched version 3.0 of the app with a small team of 12 lean, hungry, brilliant minds who reminded me of younger versions of myself. Kids who got laughed at, told their ideas were dumb, who needed someone to say, I see you. You're not crazy. We opened a second office in Austin. Our user base passed 100,000. Tech. Reporters called us one of the most resilient startups of the year. My inbox was flooded with LinkedIn messages from people who once ignored me at networking events, and still. Amanda watched. I saw her name in the viewers list of my Instagram stories. Saw her like a photo of me speaking at a TEDx event. She even left a comment once on an interview clip I posted. Proud of you. Always knew you'd do something big. I didn't respond. I didn't delete it either. Let it sit there like a ghost trying to haunt a house that no longer existed. Friends would sometimes bring her up. You know she still talks about you, right? I heard she's back, living with her mom. Quit her PR job. I just nodded. What was there to say? She had her chance to stand beside me when things were hard. When I had nothing but vision and stubbornness. But she walked away and in doing so, made space for everything that followed. Now, every time I walk into a boardroom, lead a team meeting, or mentor a new developer, I carry that quiet fire. Not from spite, but from memory. I don't need her regret. I don't need her apology, because success turned out to be the cleanest kind of closure. And she has too. Live with the knowledge that the man she gave up on became the one she can only admire from a distance. I'm not the same man who stood in that apartment doorway. Heart cracked open, watching Amanda walk out with more venom than goodbye. That version of me was still trying to prove himself, still begging the world and her to see value in potential. Now, I don't beg. I build, and I don't chase people. I chase peace. I'm in a new relationship now. Her name's Lena. She's not flashy or loud. She doesn't care about follower counts or luxury vacations. She believed in my ideas before she saw the headlines, back when my idea of a big night out was dollar tacos and a pitch deck review. She loves the man I already am, not the one I might become. That kind of love, it builds you differently, quietly, completely sometimes. When I walk through my apartment, the new one with floor 2 ceiling views of the skyline, I pause and look out across the city. I think about that first place, the one with peeling paint, flickering lights, and a mattress on the floor. It was ugly, cramped, but it saw the birth of something. I'll never forget. a man too broke to matter, but too stubborn to quit. Amanda's shadow doesn't follow me anymore. But sometimes I think about her not with bitterness, but with perspective. She was the storm that cleared my path, the loss that made room for a legacy. And when she told me I'd never be more than a broke dreamer, she accidentally lit the match that burned down every doubt I had left. Now I run a company. I mentor underdogs. I walk into rooms I used to stare at from outside. She told me I was too broke to love, so I got rich in every way. She never understood, and when she came back crying, asking for a second chance, I gave her exactly what she once gave me: a door and silence. Some people only see your worth after it's too expensive to afford, and by then, you're already gone.